Okay, welcome everyone to Kickstart Your Mystery Novel. We are going through all of the key scenes for your mystery novel, and today we're going to have a little bit of fun, I think, because we're going to try and look at a mystery that isn't perhaps a murder as we're going through all of the different things, but we'll see what the whole group says as well. So please put any questions in the chat as we're going along and feel free to, as I said, I'm recording today, so you can stay on mute, but you can put any questions into the chat if you like. Thank you again to everyone for being here. We are heading off to Kickstart Your Mystery. Who are we? Who am I? Together, we're with Christina Stanley, the CEO and founder of Fictionary. I am writing Secrets to Writing a Mystery. We are having so much fun doing that, and we're well on our way. So, what is a mystery? We have our definition, and that was to make sure that we were able to have a clear vision of what you will get when you read a mystery. Pretty simple. A crime is committed and it must be solved. So that's our definition of what is a mystery. And it's a big umbrella. The crime genre includes mystery, um, so the traditional whodunits, the cozy, which brings in that amateur sleuth. It includes police procedurals that focus as much on the how information is gathered and really looks at the investigation from a much more technical way usually. The detective novel where you have the professional person being the sleuth. It includes in this big umbrella thrillers as well, where you're fighting some external danger, and psychological thrillers where we're really looking inside the twisted minds and of us as humans. So there are a lot of different things that fit within this genre. With the mystery novel, and we're focusing in on those traditional mysteries, onto cozies, detectives, the police procedurals, that type of mystery, you still need obviously protagonists and points of view. You have some choices for your story. Your protagonist can be any entity, either a single protagonist, that's an individual character heading towards a story goal with particular stakes. You can have a combined protagonist, which is two characters with the same story goal and the same story stakes. So every scene, whether they're in it or not, is taking them closer to or farther from their goal. Or a combined, or a group, which a group protagonist is a larger group that the of protagonists, like Game of Thrones, where there's more than one person heading towards that, but the humans, that group, have a story goal as a group that has the same story stakes. The humans must defeat the White Walkers, otherwise humanity will end. And that is different. The protagonist is that character that we're following that is driving that story goal. Point of view, you can have single point of view or you can have multiple points of view. And that's who we see each scene being delivered by. And this is really fun in a mystery because our point of view characters can make sure that the reader knows certain things that the detective may or may not know. So that creates that reader knowledge gap, uh, which really creates some fun tension for us as we're reading. So let's talk skeleton blurbs. The key element for creating a mystery is to have that skeleton blurb. Now, the generic skeleton blurb is just the protagonist must have a story goal, otherwise the story stakes. And we use this as writers to help us outlining our story when we're editing our story to make sure that every scene is connected to that main plot that we have. So skeleton blurbs are really, really important. Let's talk about mystery skeleton blurbs, though. Here we have the protagonist, the sleuth, the person trying to figure out the mystery, must figure out, must solve the crime, must find the culprit. And that's very linked to the victim, right? We need to know who that victim is to understand what the story goal is. Perhaps it's to find a missing person. Maybe it's to solve a murder. Today, we're going to try and pick out some other crimes to just look at and see if maybe it's to discover who stole a rare artifact. Okay. The crime is the important part of that story goal. It must be solved. And we call them a whodunit for a reason, because we want to know who that antagonist is, who the culprit, the murderer, is, and our stakes are linked around that setting as well. Because in a mystery, the setting is so important as far as that ordinary world, that sense of justice within that world is what the protagonist is trying to recreate to make sure that justice and truth win out. So let's talk about creating something ourselves. And I'm going to take us into Fictionary, and then I'm going to use some examples from the chat to create a book with you today. We're going to create a little outline. So what's going to be our hook? I've gone into my story coach. You will be looking at Fictionary perhaps from your Storyteller or Storyteller Premium account. On your bookshelf, you have a choice of adding an outline or write a novel. When I do that, what comes up are some choices. Now, we already have a romance outline and a fantasy outline. We're working on the mystery outline, but because it's not available yet, we're using the universal outline to start us off. Once we do that, we can name our mystery. And when we come in, now it's got the inciting incident. Everything is laid out for you already in the outline. Because we're doing a mystery, we're going to make some changes and then we're going to pop back in and create our main events. So let's talk about that mystery. That's the universal story arc. Shake up at an inciting incident. Plot point 1 is when the protagonist accepts the story goal. The middle plot point is where the protagonist gets proactive. They go from just thinking that they want the story goal to understanding the importance of the story goal for them and really pushing forward towards getting towards that climax. At plot point 2, they've gone down the wrong path since the middle plot point, and now they're at the worst possible moment. But they also get a final piece of information and kind of pick themselves up and head towards that climax. In the climax, the story goal must be addressed for the reader to feel satisfied. And so that could be that they achieve the story goal or that they don't achieve the story goal. Now we're talking mystery, so let's go into these in detail. In the inciting incident, the crime is committed. In some cases, this may happen off the page, but for today, while we're working with this, we're going to put this actually on the page. That crime is the thing that shakes up the protagonist's world. They may or may not be part of finding that, say it's a dead body. They may or may not be part of that, but there will be a moment where they take on that story goal. And in plot point 1, this is where they accept the goal that they must solve the mystery. For an amateur sleuth, this is often looking at, why is it important for them to solve the mystery? We'll often see that someone close to them, or even they, are actually being accused of the crime. That means it's really important for them to try and figure out who actually did this. For a detective, they may just be assigned the case. And that's fine too, because their job matters to them. And so they want to be successful in their job and they accept that they need to solve this crime and find out who committed the crime. In the middle, we see in a mystery a false victory or a false defeat. False victory could be they may think they have found the culprit. They may have decided this is the person that has done the deed. but they've got the wrong person. They're heading down the wrong path because they're searching out to prove that this person has done something wrong. In a false defeat, they may just be at the point where they think they cannot solve this crime, but they're given some key piece of information that keeps them going and makes them want to find out more. A middle for a mystery is really interesting because if you're a detective, you've already been assigned the case. You really have to take on the case. So when you get to the middle, this is often also the time to make a detective even more active and proactive in this. We often see the moment where this becomes personal. It's important to the detective that they actually solve the murder, not just because it's their job, but now perhaps because they've become closely linked to one of the victims or one of the people attached to the victim. Well, that leads us to, of course, plot point two. They're working as hard as they can. In a mystery, it's a change in the story direction. A lot of times, because they feel so low, this is a moment where they're off the case. Sometimes they take themselves off the case. Sometimes they're taken off the case. And sometimes something happens that makes it seem like the case is over. This could even be another death. Then, of course, they push through, they find out something key important, and that takes them to the climax. And of course, in the climax for a mystery, you must solve the mystery. So we've gotten to the end. We know these key elements. Let's jump back into the app and let's create our story. We have time. Let's do it. Okay. In the chat, can you please add in what crime you would like us to look at? So we're going to have some real fun today. And I was saying that maybe we should try something that's a little bit twist instead of a murder mystery. Here we go. Deb's thrown in kidnapping. So we're going to do that. Okay. Well, I know. I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to add into our cast of characters. I know who's going to get kidnapped. Edwina's going to be kidnapped. So we will also need a protagonist. And because she's here and being so happy for me, I'm going to say Linda O'Donnell is going to be our protagonist today. We'll add some more as we go along, but today Linda's going to be the protagonist. And because I've decided that, I'm going to set Linda as our protagonist. And just to make my life a little easier, because I'm going to be focusing on just the story arc scenes right now while I'm outlining, I'm actually going to set her as the single POV right now, even though I may choose to have multiple POVs in my story. That's just so that when I go into those scenes, we'll be able to see that Linda's already there with her POV ready. So I'm going to go into evaluate now, into the inciting incident. And if you see right here, I've already got the point of view is Linda. She's already been added to all of my scenes, so I'm ready to go. Okay. Linda goes. And now, when I'm creating a main event, remember it's just the event. I'm not going to worry about the how or the why right now. It's just going to happen. Well, we know what's going to happen. So let's start with our inciting incident. Linda goes to work and Edwina is missing. Edwina's a person now, guys. So she goes to work and oh, Susie has just asked me if I'm saying that POV should be first or third person, and I'm not talking about that yet, but I will mention that near the end. Excellent question about whether to use first or third person for your narration. So Linda goes to work and Edwina's missing. Well, that's a really horrible thing. but she has to accept the story goal. The story goal is let's make our skeleton blurb right now together. So we have Linda as our protagonist. She needs to solve the mystery. Find out who kidnapped Edwina. Okay, she's going to find out who kidnapped Edwina and save. Now, the saving Edwina, she needs to find Edwina. Story stakes are going to be Edwina may die. It's very sad. We don't want that to happen. So that's our very rough first go. And because of that, what we know is in plot point 1, we are going to use our story goal. So she's going to find out who kidnapped Edwina. She's going to save Edwina. She's going to accept the fact that she needs to do that in plot point 1. So in this, she's decided that she's the only one that can find Edwina. Linda's brilliant and she's an amateur sleuth. This is the very first time Linda has tried to solve a mystery, so she doesn't really know much about how to go about it. And we need a really good reason for her to be the one person that she really feels like compelled to do that. Do we have a reason why, a connection for why she might have to solve this crime? I mean, I think I have an idea. Nice. Julia has said she's writing a novel with her. So, and we would like Linda to look like a suspect. That often brings, so either Christina's a suspect or Linda's a suspect. How many people would like Linda to be a suspect? If you can put an L in there, we'll have her as the suspect. If you put K, we'll put Christina as the suspect. So let's see what the choice is. Okay, it's pretty much 50-50 right now. We're picking on everybody today. I'm seeing an awful lot of K. So I think I'm going to make Christina the suspect, and Linda realizes, and that's why Christina's disappeared. She's not disappeared at all as well, because Christina has been arrested for the crime. Oh, see, Linda has to save Christina as well as Edwina now. Life has become much harder for her. She's heading down the path to try to figure this out. Now, as you know from Secrets to Outlining a Novel, we can start with plot point 1 because that's very easy. We know we have the story goal. And already we've added another character into our story. So I'm going to add Christina in here in a moment into the cast of characters. And then we usually go to the inciting incident. Now, I kind of already decided that something was going to happen to Edwina today. I just thought it was appropriate. So the fact that we've got her kidnapped is perfect. So we had our inciting incident. Once you know your inciting incident in your plot point 1, well, it's pretty easy to go to plot point 2, right? The lowest of the low. What's going to take her to that moment of everything being lost? You can go to any of the other 3 plot points, but I often like to save the middle plot point for a couple of reasons, but also just because it's the way that we're going to do it in the book. So if we think that things are getting to their worst point, so Linda's decided she's the only one who can find Edwina because Christina's been arrested for the crime. She has to find her. What would be a horrible, horrible thing for Linda in her attempt to find Edwina and to save Christina? What would be a great event for plot point 2? If you have an idea, pop it into the chat. Oh, okay. We have a couple of ideas. She's arrested, or there's evidence of Edwina's death. Then I think evidence of Edwina's death gives us a really nice touch. And oh, look at that. Cindy just said Linda starts to feel that Christina actually did it. That would be a very low point. So Linda finds evidence that Christina has killed Davina. That's very sad. We know that's not what's going to happen because this is not going to have a murder in it. That was my only decision today, was I was not going to kill anybody off today. I know those of you that have been following along, I usually kill at least one person off, but not today. I've decided not today. So Linda finds evidence that Christina has killed Edwina. I'm going to add more to this just because I'm thinking of it right now. As long as we know what that main event is, we're good. We don't need any more for our outline. I just want to add these little things in. So Linda's going to feel guilty. She's going to have done something that she thinks might have tipped Christina off to killing Edwina. She's going to have told okay, she just threw it over the edge, guys. She threw Christina over the edge because Linda admitted Edwina is actually a better writing partner, the best that she's ever had. And that was it. And now she really feels like this might have been, not only does she have proof that Christina might have killed Edwina, but now as well, she feels that maybe she was the one that tipped her over the edge and caused this. But we know that our whole community is based on kindness. And Christina was the starter of all that. And Linda's our kindness ambassador. So we have to finish this story off in the climax in a way that brings all of that back. And we feel like our community is back in truth and justice and just the kind way that it needs to be. So I think we found our climax. Okay. So Linda confronts the real culprit, Lisa. Yep. Yeah, I did it. If I have to be unkind to somebody, okay, I always tell you to be kind to yourself as well, but today it's going to be me. Okay, so she confronts the real culprit, Lisa, and as always in these wonderful amateur sleuth stories, you need to have that kind of confession moment where, the explanation is done. And so the truth is, Lisa was just jealous of everyone. And so what she did was she hid Edwina in, where can I hide Edwina? Can somebody give me? Yes, in the parlor. I'm just going to steal somebody's point. Oh, I'm so Canadian. I just about added a U. There we go. Oh, yes, and I love that. So she can have lots of other ideas. Somebody has just said Lisa thought that Edwina was also stealing her work, so she's feeling very like upset about that. There's all kinds of things, reasons why. So Linda confronts the real culprit, Lisa. Lisa was jealous of everyone, and she'd hid Edwina in the parlor. Linda saves everyone. That's just the way it is. Now, because of this whole situation, Linda is very compassionate towards Lisa and understands, but because Christina was arrested, unfortunately, Lisa will also have to be carted off to jail as well now to deal with the fact that she's done a kidnapping. Luckily, in jail, she's going to write incredible stories that people are going to read, and just it's going to work out perfectly. And Edwina and Linda and Christina will all come and visit her in jail, so it's going to be okay. The kind community will come together and everything will be fine. Well, now we've gotten to this fun part. We only have 5 minutes left, and we really need that middle plot point. So, what do we have so far? We have Edwina disappearing, and Linda can't find her anywhere. In plot point one, Linda decides that she's the only one that can find Edwina because Christina's just been arrested for her disappearance. In plot point two, Linda finds evidence that Christina has killed Edwina, and she feels so guilty because she's the one that told Christina how much she loves Edwina. She just went on and on about loving Edwina. And so now she's in this depth of despair. But she gets some piece of information, some little hint that's going to head her in the right direction by the time she gets to the climax. So this is the point where I'm going to add into plot point two that because, that's just what antagonists do sometimes. So now she's starting to look at Lisa as well because Lisa's now suddenly come in and said, "Hey, I could help you solve that crime." And so she's pulled herself into the crime in some particular way. So we get to the middle plot point. Now remember, our middle plot point, and just as we have in all of Fictionary, notice we have all these wonderful notes of the different things that middle plot points can do, and even some examples of those middle plot points. So what is this that's going to really help our wonderful detective Linda go from reactive to proactive? What is going to be her false defeat or her false victory that's going to head her towards this awful moment of plot point two where she thinks that Edwina is dead and that Christina has done it? What have we got in our chat now? Ah, I love Richard's idea there. Wonder how I can do that. Richard said the plot line was changed to finger Christina, but the draft is in Lisa's writing style. That's perfect. Okay, so what is the middle plot point for her to change and start looking at it? I think she's got to find that draft, right? I think that's really good. Okay, so she's going to find this draft of a mystery story with a kidnapping that's looking a lot the same that was written by Christina. So that's heading her down the path of starting to look at, is Christina actually guilty? She got here because she wants to save Christina. But we also need to look at something that's going to hint her towards, because remember in plot point two, she thinks Edwina's dead. So in this middle plot point, we're going to get the little hint, the little piece that gives us this thread of Edwina getting killed. We need that little hint in our middle plot point. So um, she's going to find a draft, but she's going to the kidnapping victim's going to die. So in the draft, the kidnapping victim's killed. And so this is going to start her questioning and going down the path of, is Edwina alive or dead? With that, notice how she's heading down the wrong path. The question isn't whether Edwina is alive or dead. The question is actually, is Christina the only person who might have taken Edwina? So we've actually showing her heading down the wrong path that's going to lead her to that plot point two of really believing that Christina was the problem. So we are now at 12:30. We have, in this very short amount of time, we've outlined our our mystery story arc. And I just wanted to give you a good sense of how that goes. As we're heading into the future, you can look at all the books that are being done and know that Secrets to Writing a Mystery is coming out soon. We're working on it. It will be out in 2025, guaranteed. And there's this wonderful book as well, the outlining book that helps you with what I just did, if you want more details about that as well. The reason that I know the book will be out is also because we are going to be offering, from first clue to final reveal, a deep dive into mystery structure starting on Wednesday, November 5th. So that is the next big Fictionary Live that's coming up. Please, if you'd like to join us in Fictionary Live, grab a premium subscription and we will see you there. Thank you, everyone, today for everything. And I'm going to stop the recording and say goodbye. Have a wonderful day, everyone.